We just can't have one day without something crazy going awry and breaking in crypto. And today, that was the CEDAS protocol on the Sui Network. I think it was $260 million was hacked and then stolen subsequently. Over 50 million of that so far has been used to buy Ethereum. But then we also have others, or some other amounts that have apparently been frozen by the Sui network. And so I want to discuss what that could potentially bring in terms of like knock-on effects for the strength, or I guess the perceived stability of the Sui network. So I want to talk a little bit about that today. I apologize for being a little bit slow on uploading some videos. I am here on vacation, so trying to kind of fit in the videos as best we can. I will also kind of throw in a little bit of discussion about Bitcoin all-time highs and what we could potentially see coming on next, just because we did kind of miss a little bit of a video on that a couple of days back. So anyway, let's go on ahead. We'll take a first look at the whole Sui situation. We can see here that actually the Sui co-founder is saying that 160 million of the 260 million in funds that were frozen will actually be returned back to the CEDAS protocol, which I think on first glance is going to be seen as a positive thing, because these funds that were hacked are now going to be returned. But this does kind of call into question some of the true decentralization of the network, right? I mean, if somebody can actually just like ban or like put a freeze on somebody's funds, that means they can do it to anybody's funds, right? And so I do think that, you know, some of the more hardcore crypto people, this is going to be seen as a very, very negative thing for crypto and for kind of the strength of the Sui network specifically. This is probably not going to be having them adopting the Sui network anytime soon. Now, of course, there is always kind of the other side of that coin, which is, do we want to put controls on for to protect people? And I think that's where you get back into this, like, you know, we're not going to have that type of discussion today, but I think that's kind of the age-old discussion that we've been having within crypto, where you've got people that are more kind of the libertarian mindset, thinking that we should not be able to roll anything back. Anything should always be essentially solely focused on decentralization, and, you know, kind of what you get is what you get. And so we'll have to see kind of how that goes and kind of how that develops over time. But at least thus far, I'm not sure how this kind of rollback is going to be perceived. We did hear about something similar, or kind of people kind of panning for similar types of rollbacks happening when we saw that BitGet hack, or the Bybit hack, excuse me, and did not actually happen. So the fact that this has happened, not sure if this is a good thing or a bad thing here. So, but overall, we can see on the Sui price, let's actually just go up and pull this into full screen here. We can actually see that obviously an insane amount of volatility here today, but not really too much going on with the Sui price. We can see here $3.91 sitting close to kind of where we've seen in its recent highs. Obviously, you know, we had this kind of insane like volatility candle where we were seeing lows at about $3.75 and highs at about $4.20. So a pretty wide spread there here. I think things looking kind of crazy, but overall, you know, I think things looking pretty good for the strength of the Sui network, considering a quite large hack. I mean, $260 million, that's like, I think the total market cap of Sui is somewhere around 14-15 billion. I mean, it's not nothing, right? I mean, it's a substantial piece of their ecosystem. So, you know, holding up and showing some decent kind of resilience, all things considered here, which I do think is some pretty good news. Now, also, if we do look, we can see, you know, our trades that we have been taking have been printing. For those of you who follow the channel, you can see that we actually had a Pi video. I think it was actually the most recent video. We had a Pi video talking about some of the hacks and things like that. We actually went in ahead and placed a long order here because we talked about, you know, kind of when there's kind of that max FUD, generally a point for some good opportunity here. We can see we've done quite well here, up over 100% in just a short period of time. So things looking really great there. Also, XRP continues to do quite well. Sui back over 100% as well, and then Ondo 43, and Bitcoin up 66% as we continue to see it run further and further. So we can actually go to the Bitcoin chart and check this out really quick, just because we have seen those recent all-time highs. And I did want to just call a little bit of some caution here, just because I know people are getting excited. We're seeing a really, really strong move up with Bitcoin, and it's doing super well. We're actually pushing 112,000 as we speak right now. But what we can see, and again, these are daily candles, so this is usually a pretty strong indicator of kind of future price action. We can see already overbought on the RSI, and we are pushing out towards the top end of the Bollinger Bands. Usually when that happens, we do see some level of pullback happening relatively quickly. So that is something I would say just kind of keep in mind, and kind of maybe exercise some caution here. Of course, we have seen it kind of pull out before, and then it really just kind of consolidates a little bit, doesn't even necessarily pull back too much, but this is something that we may be kind of looking to see here over the next kind of couple of weeks. You can see this kind of generally happens with Bitcoin kind of more often than not. We see kind of the run up, the consolidation, the run up, the consolidation, and now we're on that run up again. So we would expect some level of consolidation to follow, whether that's kind of like horizontal consolidation, a little bit of a melt up like we saw here, or sometimes we even see kind of some retraces for consolidation as well. So that's kind of what we're looking at with Bitcoin. Obviously, Bitcoin continuing to show a bunch of strength. And then we also can see on the liquidation levels, though, things starting to pile up for longs. Again, we usually see the leverage or the price move in the way that liquidates the most people, just because it's it's kind of a dirty business, but exchanges do often trade against their own users, and so they know exactly when and how and where to liquidate people. And so we could see actually even just it moving back down to 108,000 would liquidate almost $3.5 billion worth of longs leverage. That is a lot of money. In my mind, I would expect that we see some type of move like this sooner rather than later, just because there is a lot of leverage stacking up, actually pretty close to price from where we've seen so far. It does look like people are starting to get a little bit more excitable. I personally am kind of wondering what I should be doing with my own trades. I do have some other trades open, in addition to the ones that we go over on BTCC. And also, quick plug for BTCC if you are interested, links to BTCC in the description below. 10% bonus on first-time deposits, as well as a whole bunch of other trading bonuses up to $10,055. So if you are interested, links in the description below there. But going back to kind of what we're seeing on the liquidation exchange map, is we can see that there's a lot of leverage piling up here. And so this, to me, does indicate that we very likely we'll be making another move back down to the downside. We can see here, $14-15 billion. This is an extreme amount of leverage here. Lots of this going to be liquidated. Even here, we can see back down to 101,000 would give us $13 billion liquidated. Insane amount of liquidations here piling up. And then if we do look at the 30-day, we can probably see something very similar. Hey, what do you know? Even all the way out here, we're looking at over 20 billion. I mean, this is an extreme amount of volume. We have not seen this amount of volume happening probably in kind of until kind of the near past, or in any time in the near past, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. So very much a move to the downside expected here for me. Exactly when, exactly how much, and exactly how long, we don't know for sure, but we can see, I mean, the proof is there. There's so much liquidation leverage here sitting. Even if we just go to like 105,000, that's $5 billion liquidated. That is a ton of liquidations. So I could see kind of a short-term crash happening if that were to come back around. So something that I'm trying to figure out is kind of where do I want to be taking profits? I have been taking profits all the way up, but where do I really want to be kind of consider taking a decent chunk of profits with my short-term trading? And do I want to start to close a lot of it down, wait for some of that pullback, wait for some of the metrics to start looking a little bit better, and then we can kind of let things go from there. I think now kind of that we're seeing all this type of stuff, I will probably go start to shut down some of these trades and wait for that kind of retrace to happen. Again, when it happens, for sure, we do not know. But this is just one thing where hopefully if you've been listening to the channel and watching me for any period of time, you kind of have this strategy that I talk about almost ad nauseum, which is kind of just sell bits and pieces on the way up. You don't have to be going 100% out. You don't have to be going 100% in. Just little bits and pieces as we go. I think now that we're kind of getting, by all metrics or by all accounts, it seems to be we're looking quite overextended here. And so I'm probably going to be shutting down a little bit more of these trades and kind of looking for some of those metrics to pull back a little bit. I think kind of as we've been through and kind of looking through some of the numbers here, that seems to be kind of a good thing to do here. Since I have been out, I haven't been trading as much. I haven't been kind of doing as much analysis as I normally do. So this is kind of a little bit of some on-the-fly analysis of kind of what we're seeing and what's been going on in the market. I think kind of for what we're seeing, that's probably some good news there. And then also as far as Sui is concerned, we haven't really seen much of a sell-off. I think a lot of the Sui ecosystem has seen a lot of a sell-off. So if you are a big Sui fan and a Sui supporter, and that whole kind of like account freezing and all that type of stuff. If that hasn't kind of deterred you from kind of the overall interaction from the Sui ecosystem, could be some really great opportunities to go in and buy some various coins that are going to be on extreme discounts from here. If you're a believer in Cetus, you're a believer in Deepbook, those are kind of two of the premium exchanges. We've seen several exchanges before get hacked and make a comeback, so that to me is not necessarily kind of like a main deterrent from what we could be seeing out of Cetus in the future. So that's another thing, just something to think about. Over time, of course, I'm not your financial advisor. You do need to be making your own decisions, and with risk and with monetary and financial reward, there is risk. More risk, more reward, more reward, more risk, right? So just be very careful. Make sure you're not doing anything too crazy. You're not going to be getting in over your skis. We see it right now. I mean, it's very, very overextended. There's a lot of leverage going into longs. The sheep are piling in. We know what's going to be happening here sooner rather than later, so just make sure that you are being careful. So overall, hopefully you did find the information in this video useful. If you did, a like and a subscribe really, really does help me out. If you have any thoughts, questions, feelings, whatever, just drop those in the comment section below. I do try to read and respond to all of those. So if you have anything that you want me to see, that'd be a great way to do so. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.